As part of the feedback I received from the last video, I think the videos I posted about 2 days ago, that was responding to the seeming apologetic tone of my article. There was a comment from someone who perhaps watched the video, and that is the comment on my screen, as you can see. And when I read that comment, I paused a little bit because it reminded me again of Franz Fanon's Wretched of the Earth, as well as Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Beneath that person's politeness, beneath the apparent clarity of what he writes, there lies what I call a philosophical bypassing. That's a way of shifting responsibility from the collective to the other. That's an attempt to reduce a national infliction and affliction into a regional problem. My responsibility is to ensure that ethnic hate and bigotry end. And we have to take responsibility as a people, from the east to the west to the north to the south part of Nigeria. We have to accept it that we have all failed. That we have failed our generation, we have failed the generation yet unborn, we have also failed generations in the past. And until and unless we accept that as a collective failure, we will continue to move around the circle. So, if we accept that ethnic hate is a collective affliction, and some are trying to reduce it to some kind of regional problem, then I see some kind of philosophical shallowness and narrow-mindedness, a kind of dysfunctional monopoly of a region. Here is the truth. Corruption, exploitation, injustice, ethnic hate have built their houses among all of us. Whether you dwell in the north or in the south or in the east or in the west, these things thrive among politicians and pastors. It thrives among elites and the masses, among the so-called educated and uneducated. So when we reduce it to a particular part of the country, what we're essentially doing is to rehearse a script of blame, which we have been doing since the end of the Civil War. Blame is easy. Responsibility is hard. If we are to be honest to ourselves, Nigerian crisis is not simply political economic. It is deeply philosophical. And there are three underlying forces that undermine our unity, especially with the spread of ethnic hate. And I call these underlying afflictions ethnic privilege, which is the belief that our ethnic group has a natural entitlement to rule, to dominate, to benefit disproportionately. This has produced a politics of suspicion among us, where the other is always a threat. The second affliction is what I call the status privilege. The assumption that wealth and social class confer the right on us, the right to justice, right to opportunities, and right to respect. And this is why the poor are expendable and the powerful are untouchable. The third affliction is what I call the pretense of oneness, perhaps the most dangerous illusion of all the three. We claim to be one Nigeria, but that unity is often a costume. We wear it to for international appearances, while internally fractures deepen. It is not genuine solidarity, we call it, but a fragile facade. And the last point that I want to make, which again reflects the whole idea of the pretense of oneness. When we insist that corruption is confined to a region, we are also dodging responsibility because we are also performing the pretense of unity as though we are righteous, others are guilty. But in truth, we all participate in the circle of ethnic hate. whether it is through our actions or inactions, our silence and our speeches, we sustain the very structures that we ourselves will condemn. So to understand Nigeria, we must go beyond the surface accusations, the surface blame game. Our problem is deeply psychosocial. Think about it. Decades of colonial rule taught us hierarchy, exploitation, and divide and rule. Post-independent politics only reinforce these divisions. They do not breed them, they reinforce them, and powerfully so. So over time, citizens internalize a mindset of competition over cooperation, suspicion over solidarity, and privilege over justice. And that takes me again to the philosophical exposition of someone like Franz Fanon. So if you have read that book, The Wretched of the Earth, Fanon reminds us that colonial societies inherit not only broken institutions, but also broken psychologies. And that is why Nigeria is not an exception. Ethnic bigotry, corruption, inequality are just out there, like an object out there. It is in the system. They are also in here, in our consciousness, in our habits, and in our everyday dealings, except we want to lie to ourselves. So when the commenter says the anomaly is prevalent in a part of a country, what he fails to see is that the anomaly is not external. It is internal, it is everywhere, it is in all of us, in the east, in the west, in the north, and in the south. So when I speak philosophically like this, we cannot outsource our responsibility because it's an act of evasion. It is an attempt for us to escape the burden of collective responsibility. So my job on this channel is to ensure that we take that collective responsibility. We understand the fundamental problem that fuels ethnic suspicion, ethnic hate. So it is not a case of it is this group or it is that group, it is this and that. We have to hone up and we have to hone this problem. And unless and until we do that, all of these surface facade we're doing will end up achieving nothing. We must be responsible. We must ensure that our actions, our words, our relationships, our dealings are not driven by ethnic considerations, including our politics. Our decision to vote is not influenced by ethnic consideration or tribal affiliation. So it is important that when we are addressing issues like this, we don't buck pass, we don't shift blame, we don't blame the other as guilty while we see ourselves as innocent. There is no part of Nigeria that is innocent, that is not complicit in this act of ethnic hate, ethnic bigotry. If we have inherited this psychology, they only get expanded by the way the politicians exploited them. And we buy into them because that is what favors us as individuals, as ethnic groups. When I mean favor, I do not mean that we benefit. We only benefit psychologically because it sweetens us, it suits our ego that, oh, it is my man that is there. But essentially, pragmatically, we do not benefit anything than that psychological comfort. So we have to stop this kind of comment and begin to push blame here and there and begin to look at who to scapegoat. It doesn't help. We must hone it. We must be responsible. We must ensure that we're preaching this gospel, we are acting on it, and we are taking action at every point in time. So this is my gospel. This is what I've come to do, and this is what I will continue to do. And we must continue to engage each other in ensuring that we bring down the wall of ethnic hate. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for following me. And thank you for your comment. Whatever thing you want us to do, I'm ready to do it.